Hello there guys, welcome to another of my live videos. So this is your Ole Gunnar Solsjaker press conference reaction for the Newcastle Manchester United game tomorrow, 4:30 kick-off, and it is our 8th game of the Premier League season. Also on this video I am going to give you my starting 11 prediction for this current game. So I'm just going to interpret some of the stuff Ole Gunnar Solskjaer had mentioned in his press conference yesterday. So Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, does admit, that so far this season, it hasn't been good enough. We haven't. We haven't had the best execution. He also mentioned that we're not back in the 90s anymore. So what he was saying that is it's like a different era. Different players, different groups. Obviously, that we are building. And obviously, this is what Ole Gunnar Solskjaer had mentioned. He also said that there isn't, many clubs that have our stature and playing the young players like obviously, we do, because the majority of the young players have obviously, played so far this season. But, this is a game, Manchester United, of course, should win, because obviously, Newcastle are struggling for consistency. They've endured a really difficult start to the season. They've only registered 5 points from 7 league games so far this season. So I think Newcastle are sitting 19th in the league. Obviously, the fixture last season at St James's Park was 2-0 to Manchester United, and I think last season we did beat them 3-2 at Old Trafford. So we did do the double of them last season. Don't forget, recently Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was pleased with our performance against AZ Alkmaar earlier on this week. Well, this is stemming from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer anywhere. He actually had element of concerns about the pitch prior to the AZ Alkmaar game. But I think we need to see our first away win. Don't forget we haven't won away from home since the PSG game last season. When we did produce that miraculous comeback in the Champions League. Obviously that's Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's most iconic moment as manager. Give you a bit of team news as well, building up to the game. I think Solskjaer also confirmed that it's unlikely that Paul Pogba will return from injury in time for this game against Newcastle, because obviously Paul Pogba has been further assessed due to his recurrence of his injury that he had sustained back in August, was it, in the 1-1 draw with Southampton. Paul Pogba is out with a foot injury. So I think Solskjaer did say he's hopeful that more players can regain full fitness for the game against Liverpool after the international break. So Paul Pogba will be unavailable for this game. Also too, it's confirmed Martial and Luke Shaw, they both will not be playing in this game. Martial, of course, has been out with thigh injury. Luke Shaw has been out with a hamstring injury. So Martial and Luke Shaw have missed the last 6 games in all competitions for Manchester United. And Martial and Luke Shaw are 2 imperative players. Like I said before, Martial had sustained his injury, and I think he enjoyed a pretty decent start to this season. Well, he did well in his first 3 games and that. And we know Martial, predominantly plays out on the left, but he actually seems to be more effective in that central position, because it got confirmed at the start of the season that Anthony Martial has been given that number 9 shirt. Obviously, Martial now is into his 5th season as a Manchester United player, and of course he has scored over 50 goals for the club in all competitions. And I think he is now closer to regaining full fitness. But Anthony Martial has been a big miss in that attacking line. Don't forget, he did sign a new 5-year deal back in January. But like I said, Martial and Rashford, can both play in the same position, so they are, compatible in that aspect, because Martial can play centre, can play out wide. Rashford can play centre, and of course can play out wide. But Martial is still only 23 years of age, and he has still got a lot of development minimum. I still don't think he's quite emulated that level as yet, but I said if he can avoid sustaining any more injuries, and he can keep the consistency up, I think he can score from at least between 15 to 20 goals this season. With Luke Shaw, like I said, he's another imperative player. Obviously, Luke Shaw is our first choice left back, and analysing the majority of his Manchester United career, I think he has been mainly consistent. He's had some rough patches. He obviously had the bad spell under Jose Mourinho. He's sustained quite a few injuries, but I think prior to that, Luke Shaw's been mainly consistent. Don't forget, Luke Shaw won the double player of the season last season, reflecting on his impressive performances. So he's missed the last 6 games in all competitions. This will be the 7th game, of course, course, is going to be missing. But due to Luke Shaw's absence, obviously, it's been mainly Ash Young that's been fulfilling his role in the Premier League recently. Quite a few other players have played at left back. Like I said, Alex Tuanzebe played against Arsenal at left back. Obviously, Brandon Williams played at left back earlier on in the week against AZ Alkmaar. Obviously, Rojo's played at left back quite a few times. So quite a few players have played in that position. It's confirmed that Jesse Lingard will be missing this game tomorrow. Obviously, don't forget he came off with a hamstring problem in the 0-0 draw with AZ Alkmaar. And to be quite honest, I'm relieved in that aspect, because obviously we know that Jesse Lingard is actually an imperative player, but analysed his performances so far this season, they have been very, very poor. And like I did say, reflecting on Jesse Lingard's status at the football club, and that, he should be putting much more better performances out. Don't forget, Lingard, was ill earlier on in the season. Wan-Bissaka, I don't think he's going to be available, or maybe, I don't think he's going to be available, should I say. Don't forget, Wan-Bissaka has been out with illness, so in that aspect, he has missed the last 2 games for Manchester United. Obviously missed the Alkmaar game and missed his first league game so far this season against Arsenal. So this will be the 3rd game Wan-Bissaka is going to miss in all competitions, and it will be the 2nd game, he's going to miss in the Premier League. He has been out with tonsillitis, Wan-Bissaka, and it is a shame because, again, Wan-Bissaka is a very imperative player. A lot of people believe, he has been one of our most consistent signings so far, because I think he's done mainly well this season, settled in quite well, and I think if he can keep the consistency up, I think his valuation will persistently grow. Also to Eric Bailly, as you all know, he's a long-term absence. Don't forget, he's out until the new year. He's Eric Bailly was it till the end of December with a knee injury that he had sustained throughout pre-season. Don't forget Fosu Mensah is still out with injury. He returned to the club earlier on in the summer, because don't forget Fosu Mensah was on loan last season with Fulham. Obviously, I think he actually sustained the injury, whilst he was with Fulham. So I think, he's actually, been out of injury for quite some time. Don't forget, recently, Rashford had a groin problem. I don't know if he's fully fit, Marcus Rashford and that, but he recently, had a groin problem. And analysing his performances so far this season, he has been way below par. I'll credit Rashford. I thought he did well throughout pre-season. He did well on the opening day against Chelsea, but I think prior to that game, I think he's being way below par. But yeah, I'll still say, that Rashford is a long-term solution for Manchester United. Like I said, so far, Rashford has spent the entirety of his career with the football club. Obviously, he's been a United player since the age of 7. Obviously, he's been in the senior squad with us since 2016, but he's enjoyed mainly a difficult start to this season, and was poor in the last couple of months of last season, in comparison to his time, when he first broke into the squad. But Rashford, of course, is still only 21 years of age, so I should presume will play in this game, or at least will be involved. And because obviously Rashford's a regular starter. Phil Jones, of course, he's out with injury. Don't forget he couldn't play against Alkmaar because he sustained a knock in the win against Rochdale in the Carabao Cup and that. So I do believe Ole Gunnar Solsjaker will make a lot of alterations in the squad. I think for this game, I think Solskjaer, in my opinion, should start Mason Greenwood. Obviously, recently Ole Gunnar Solskjaer gave us a more overarching view on Mason Greenwood, and did say, it would be impossible to leave Mason Greenwood out of the squad. If he does keep scoring, and obviously if he keeps the consistency up, Solskjaer has assured that Mason Greenwood, will get more minutes under his belt. Now, obviously, Mason Greenwood has not yet started a game from the start in the Premier League this season. Obviously, scored twice from obviously, from 2 starts, something like that I had. Obviously scored against FC Astana and scored against Rochdale, and I think he will become a fruition at Manchester United, will Mason Greenwood. I think by the time he's 23, 24 years of age, I think he will be a world-class centre forward. I think Mason Greenwood, was actually was he playing him on the right against Alkmaar from right, so he can actually play him on the right, but I think he's more effective when you play him as an out-and-out number 9. But to be quite honest with you, he could actually start this game. He could actually start on the right. Rashford, could play up top. But I said, at the moment, Mason Greenwood is a much better solution than Marcus Rashford. And don't forget, Mason Greenwood has just recently, turned 18 years of age. But like I did say, we have got a lot of young players in the squad, that are developing and trying to improve at Manchester United. And like I did say, maybe the vast majority of the young upcoming players, will not become a success at Manchester United. So maybe we should orchestrate on maybe, loaning some of the young upcoming players out and that. Like I did say, it could be on Mason Greenwood, that does become the success, for the football club. I also actually believe that Alex Tuanzebe, will be become a success at Manchester United, because I think the games he's played in this season, he has performed really, really well. Thought he put a really good performance in against Arsenal last Monday. He did absolutely fantastically well. Don't forget, Alex Tuanzebe is predominantly a centre back, but he can actually play as a full back. So again, his versatility is very, very good, and I think he could be in line to start this game tomorrow against Newcastle. Angel Gomez, don't forget, he did initially say he's going to be a big part of the squad this season. Obviously, Angel Gomez is another one of our midfield options. Don't forget, he just recently recovered from injury. He did miss the last league game against Arsenal. Diego Dalot, obviously so far this season, he's made 2 appearances for the football club as Diego Dalot. As Diego Dalot and that, but yeah, he'll obviously get more opportunities. Obviously, is another one of our backup options at that full back position. But like I said, this is a game, Manchester United, of course, have got to win. And obviously, the vast majority of Manchester United fans, obviously are demanding Ole Gunnar Solskjaer out of the football club. I actually, do believe, and I hate to say this, I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, will be gone by Christmas. And obviously, managers now, don't get the time, that they would like at clubs and that, because obviously we know now the boards are a lot more ruthless. But I didn't used to say, that we still need to back Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I think, we need to give him at least a couple more windows, to see who else he can recommend into the football club, and obviously, to build a team, that can be competitive, and a team, of course, that can win silverware. So I think, we need to give Ole Gunnar Solskjaer more time, because don't forget, Solskjaer, overall now has been at Manchester United around 10 months, is it? So he has been at the football club just under a year overall. Don't forget, we recommended Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in December of last year, following the dismissal of Jose Mourinho. Now, obviously, as you all know, Solskjaer came in as interim manager. He was interim manager for 3 months. In that 3-month period, he did really, really well. The results were good, the performances were good. He's getting the best out of these group players, and he exceeded expectations. But since he got the job in March earlier on this year, everything, of course, has just seemed to have all gone wrong. But like I did say, I love Ole Gunnar Solskjaer a lot. I love Ole Gunnar Solskjaer a lot. He was a great player for Manchester United for 11 years. He flourished under Alex Ferguson's guidance. So Solskjaer has got that proven pedigree as a player, because Solskjaer did win 6 Premier League titles with the club. He also won 2 FA Cups, and I think he won the Champions League with us in that. And obviously, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's most iconic moment as a player, obviously, was back in 1999, of course, when he did win the club the treble. That's obviously not one of the club's greatest achievements. But I have got element of concerns about him. Like I said, some of his tactics and that are questionable. So I do admit, we are very tactically inept. Obviously, he hasn't really got that managerial experience, to the highest level. Only won a couple of Norwegian titles and mould. Don't forget, Solskjaer, he only had a very short tenure with Cardiff. He actually, ended up, getting Cardiff relegated. But I think now, it's actually worse under the Solskjaer era, than it was under the Jose Mourinho era, because I think Solskjaer's record after 28, 29 games, it's actually it's proven to be worse than the Jose Mourinho era. So yeah, I think he probably will be out of the football club, by Christmas, if I'm going to be quite honest with you. But I still, would give him time at the football club. But Solskjaer, is our 4th permanent manager, since the Alex Ferguson era. And obviously, like I said to you, we haven't got the structure to keep sacking managers, despite the fact that 3 managers have already been sacked since the Alex Ferguson era. We've had different managers with different philosophies. And I just don't want us, to sack Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And like Roy Keane did say on Monday Night Football last week, that obviously, Man United, need to stick with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. We need to give him at least a couple of more windows, to see who else he can get into the football club. Because analysing, during the summer, I don't think, we backed Ole Gunnar Solskjaer enough, as actually, we did assure that he would have been backed. And like I did say, I think, due to our inconsistency, the vast majority of the blame does stem from the board, because obviously the board didn't back Ole Gunnar Solskjaer enough during the summer. They didn't recommend, any sufficient midfielders in, or any sufficient attackers in. And I think, the board are a liability, if I'm going to be quite honest with you. And the question is, can the board assure, any structural changes at the football club? Because we need to see structural changes in that, the question is, are they going to give Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, the tools and that he does need? But I think, due to our inconsistency, I think everyone has to take some responsibility in that. I think it's the blame, everyone has to take the blame, so it's a mixture in that aspect. But the vast majority of the blame is the board. Some of the blame does stem from Ed Woodward. I think also some of the blame stems from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Also, some of the blame does stem from certain players, because obviously, there is a lot of players that are performing, way below par. But like I did say to you, I do credit Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in certain aspects in that, he has got a lot of faith in his young upcoming players. Obviously he did get rid of a lot of the deadwood, during the summer and that, so we did get that summer clear out that we did demand. But despite the fact a lot of players have now left since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's arrival, I still believe, these more problematic players at the football club. And like I said, he recommended 3 good players to the squad during this summer. We spent around nearly £150 million on Daniel James and Wan-Bissaka, and of course on Harry Maguire. And we have seen glimpses of what good signings they've proven to be so far. I think, like I said, Daniel James, he's enjoyed a fantastic start to his Manchester United career. I think he's scored 3 goals so far this season as Dan James. Obviously I like him a lot. I think he settled in really, really well. Obviously, we paid around, was it £15 million for him? Obviously, potentially rising up to £18 million with the bonuses and that. But I think he's done really, really well. And I think so far this season he's replicating, what he did last season with Swansea. Because don't forget, he only made his senior debut back in February 2018. But he has done really, really well. I think Bissaka's done well. Like I said, Harry Maguire, he's done really, really well. I do believe, the football club overpaid for Harry Maguire. Obviously, we paid around, £80 million for him. So obviously, he's the most expensive defender in the world. He's obviously our second most expensive signing behind Paul Pogba. But yeah, I do believe, that the club, did overpay for him that. But like I said, anyway, we're known for overpaying for players. And obviously when it comes to letting them go, we let them go for next to nothing. And obviously that's bad business in that aspect. And like I said, there has, been prime examples of it this summer. But yeah, I think we're orchestrating on, spending another substantial amount in January. Because already Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is making plans for January. I think also Ed Woodward is making plans for January. But like I said to you, we are enjoying our worst start to a Premier League season for 3 decades. Like I said, we're 7 games into the season so far, and we've only registered 9 points from possible 21. And we know that's nowhere near good enough to our standards. And we've only won 1 of our last 6 league games so far this season. We've only managed 9 goals in the Premier League. But like I did say to you, and I do keep saying, you can pinpoint certain games out this season. Arguably, that Manchester United should have won. Because we still do seem to be creating chances in that in certain games and that, but we're just not being ruthless enough in front of goal. And like I said, I think this season so far is replicating what I saw last season. What I mean in that aspect is that I haven't really seen much improvements this season. But the games I think we should have arguably won this season, I think we should have definitely won at Wolves away earlier on in the season. We should have definitely won at Southampton away. I think we should have definitely won at Crystal Palace at home. Obviously, reflecting on the amount of chances we had in that particular game. We should have arguably beat Arsenal last Monday in the league, because I thought the performance was better against Arsenal. To be fair, there was some good individual performances in that. But like I did initially say, I said it at the start of this season, and I even said it towards the back end of last season. our expectations this season, will be to finish in that top four and perhaps maybe win some silverware. And obviously, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has got to exceed these expectations at Manchester United, because obviously we want to get back into the Champions League, because obviously, I said that's something else that went against us, during the summer, with, obviously, it's going to be hard, to attract players to the elite level, when you're not in a Champions League football. And this is why, so many players had element of concerns about joining the football club, during the summer. During the summer and that. But yeah, I do believe anyway, the players, we was in for during the summer, it's probably more than likely we will reignite our interest in some of them in January. Maybe we will leave some until next summer. But I think it did confirm at the start of this season that, regardless of what happens this season, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's job, should be safe at least until May. Because I think the board realised that they didn't back Ole Gunnar Solskjaer enough, during the summer. And I think Solskjaer had spoken with Ed Woodward whilst the summer transfer window was open about the lack of business in the market. But you can obviously still see the deficiencies in the squad. And I think, Solskjaer's identified, quite a few areas, where he wants to, strengthen up and that. And I think obviously, I think his priority, is to recommend, a striker in. Obviously, we need to recruit a replacement for Romelu Lukaku, because I think, following the dismissal of Romelu Lukaku and Alexis Sanchez, I think we are definitely, lacking in that attacking line. I think one of the other priority areas is to recommend a midfielder in, because we didn't get a midfielder during the summer. Don't forget, for the majority of the summer as well, we was in search for them right winner. So I'm happy in the summer that we did address, some of the problematic areas. We got the experienced centre half in, we got the right back in, but we didn't address all the problematic areas. But it was going to be extremely difficult for us, to address all the problematic areas in one summer transfer window and that. It's only been Solskjaer's for summer's United manager, and this is why we need to give him a couple of windows to make a further more investment in that. But like I did say, reflecting on the history of this football club, and reflecting on the money that's been invested into the football club and that, we should be, in much more of a commanding position, than we're in now. Don't forget, reflecting back under the Alex Ferguson era, don't forget, Ferguson, didn't win out in his first 4 years at Manchester United, when we first recommended him in from Aberdeen, was it, back in 1985, 1986, and obviously he didn't win out in his first 4 years, and he was on the verge of getting the sack. I think he was actually one game away from the sack, but he didn't. And then look what obviously he went and accomplished. We had obviously 20 odd years of success under Alex Ferguson. But I did say, regardless of who our manager is, no one is going to ever follow Alex Ferguson's legacy. We're never going to replicate what we did under Alex Ferguson. And no one's going to ever have as long as tenure as Alex Ferguson did in that. But I think us getting rid of Solskjaer before Christmas, or at this moment in time, would not solve all of the problems at Manchester United. But, who would come in, if he was to be sacked by the football club? Now, obviously, before we actually, recommended Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in, after the sacking of Jose Mourinho and that, obviously, there was quite a few managers, linked with the managerial role at Manchester United. And there was a lot of talks about, Pochettino coming in at one point, but obviously we didn't manage to get Pochettino, because I think at that current time, that Pochettino had no intentions of leaving Tottenham and that, but we was in for him for so long. If Solskjaer is to be sacked, could we possibly reignite our interest in Mauricio Pochettino? Now, Pochettino's obviously been at Tottenham 6 years. Well, he's been there 5 years, but he's now into his 6th season with Tottenham. Obviously, he hasn't won any silverware yet as Mauricio Pochettino. I think that's his expectations, is to obviously win some silverware. But he's done mainly a really, really good job with Tottenham. His philosophy seems to be good. He's good at developing young players, and a lot of people believe, he would, he would be the right, manager for Manchester United. A lot of people believe that, to be quite honest with you. Obviously, don't forget, before he was at Tottenham, he did have a short tenure with Southampton, if you do remember rightly. But yeah, do you think he would be the right manager for Manchester United? Like I said, well Premier League proven in that. But at the time we was in for him, I think, it did say, we'd have had to pay a compensation of around 35 to 40 million pounds to get him in. But a lot of people think, he would, fit the stature of the club and that. I know obviously he's more experienced there than Solskjaer. But obviously Solskjaer was our preference over Mauricio Pochettino, because obviously, Solskjaer was a cheaper solution. Solskjaer, does know the culture and that of the football club. We do know reports have been coming out in the last week or two, stemming from the Italian press actually, talking about, Massimiliano Allegri, the former Juventus manager. Obviously, he resigned. I think he resigned from Juventus, at the end of last season. Don't forget, he served around 5 years with Juventus. Obviously, the majority of his silverware he won, obviously, came at Juventus, and that obviously won 5 Serie A's. I think he got them to 2 Champions League finals. Obviously, he has spent the entirety of his managerial career in Italy. Also spent the entirety of his playing career in Italy. Did Massimiliano Allegri. So again, do you think he would be, the right man for Manchester United? But I think a lot of industries and that believe anywhere that Solsjaker will be gone by Christmas. But you can still quite frankly say Solskjaer is still in the process of rebuilding this Manchester United squad. As you all know, I think Solskjaer is keen on continuing the policy of recruiting young British players, like he did do earlier on in the summer. But yeah, big game tomorrow against Newcastle. Like I said, it's a must-win game for Manchester United, and that if we want to still keep our hopes up for the top 4, because it's still early on in the season that. So there is still a long way to go. So now we'll give you the starting 11 prediction for the game. Now I think Solskjaer, he'll either go with a 4-2-3-1 or he'll go with a 4-3-3. And I said, they're the formations he'll go with mainly this season. I think he'll go more with a 4-2-3-1 though than the 4-3-3 formation. But yeah, so this is my starting 11 prediction. So I think he's going to go with obviously David De Gea in goal. Definitely David De Gea in goal. I think at right back he could actually go over Alex Tuanzebe. Diego Dalot, don't forget, also is an option. But I think he'll probably go with Alex Tuanzebe due to the absence of Wan-Bissaka. Centre back partnership obviously will be Harry Maguire and Victor Lindelof. I think they've blended in very, very well so far for Manchester United. Left back, I probably do presume it will be Ashley Young at left back. Maybe even could be Rojo at left back, but I think it probably will be Ashley Young. So that's my back 4. And I think the midfield, probably he'll go with McTominay. I think McTominay has done really, really well so far this season, so he has deserved to keep his place in the team. In regards to McTominay being the long-term solution for Manchester United, I have got an element of concerns about that. These question marks around him. Can he keep the consistency up, Scott McTominay, and yeah, but I think he's done really, really well so far this season. Don't forget, he has been mainly playing alongside Paul Pogba, but due to Paul Pogba's absence recently in the league, he's actually been playing alongside Nemanja Matic. So yeah, McTominay deserves to keep his place in the team. Obviously scored a good goal against Arsenal last Monday. So yeah, he will be starting, I think. And I think, Fred will also, get given the start. It could be Matic, but I think, it will actually, be Fred. Because I did say, Fred is a much better solution than Matic. But there again, I think any of our midfield options are much better solutions than Nemanja Matic. But, with Fred, I think he's had a good couple of games this season. I think, we need to give him more time and that, don't forget Fred's only been at the football club, since last summer, when we signed him for Shakhtar Donetsk. And to be fair, he was an exceptional player at Shakhtar Donetsk. Hasn't, really replicated, at Manchester United what he did at Shakhtar Donetsk, but he's had a good couple of games so far this season as Fred. Again, I don't know if he's a long-term solution for Manchester United, so it will be him and McTominay in the midfield. I'm going with a 4-2-3-1. And I think the 3 attackers, probably Daniel James on the left. I should presume he will be Daniel James on the left, because obviously he's supposed to be more effective from that left-hand side. Jess Lingard obviously isn't going to be playing, so I think it could actually be Juan Mata in that number 10. Could be Juan Mata in that number 10, maybe even Andres Pereira. I'll go with Andres Pereira, so I'll go with Andres Pereira in the number 10, and I will go with Mason Greenwood on the right, and I will go with Rashford up top, so I think that's, the 11, that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, is obviously going to go within that. With Newcastle, obviously, they recommended, obviously, Steve Bruce earlier on in the summer, or was it the start of the summer, I think it was. Obviously, don't forget, Rafa Benitez resigned, back in June, which was obviously earlier on this summer, because I don't think Newcastle assured him a substantial amount to spend, obviously, to overall Newcastle squad. So I think this is one of the main reasons, why Rafa Benitez had currently resigned. But yeah, this is a game, Manchester United, should definitely win. Don't forget, Newcastle did lose Pereira, during the summer. they did lose Perez, you know, during the summer. So yeah, that is your starting 11 prediction. But like I did say, I think, you know, these more problematic players at Manchester United, as I do keep mentioning in that. So we know the players that have obviously left since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's arrival. Obviously, we know Antonio Valencia left at the end of last season after he served 10 years at Manchester United. You know, he was a long-serving player for the football club. Obviously, we know Chris Smalling, you know, went out on loan to Roma. You know, Roma paid just under £3 million, you know, to take him out on loan. Despite the fact that Chris Smalling's gone, though, you know, we have still got six centre backs in the team. Obviously, we know Darmian left the football club. He joined Parma. Obviously, you know, Ander Herrera left on a free transfer earlier on this summer. He went to PSG. Herrera served 5 good years at Man United, and I think that was a mistake from the football club, you know, getting rid of Ander Herrera. But I was also even more infuriated that, you know, we let his contract run down and we let him go on a free transfer. I was really infuriated about that. Obviously, Fellaini, you know, he served 6 years at the football club. You know, he left for China, you know, back in January. Did Marion Fellaini. Also, too, Romelu Lukaku and Alexis Sanchez, you know, they both left the football club. They both went to Inter Milan, so in that aspect, you know, they are reuniting together and that. And despite the fact that Sanchez, you know, went out on loan, you know, we're still paying the majority of his wages. Don't forget, I still believe, you know, we're paying him around 300 grand a week, and that Sanchez's loan, I think, is around 10 months, something like that. So, like I said, you know, Italy has been a popular destination for the vast majority of our players that have left this summer. And don't forget, you know, we have also, you know, loaned a couple of goalkeepers out. But, you know, I was actually happy, you know, the money, you know, we did generate, you know, from Romelu Lukaku's departure. So basically, you know, we got £70 million for him. So basically, we recouped the money that we did pay for him from Everton, you know, a couple of years ago, because we did initially pay around £75 million for him from Everton, and I didn't think we'd have got £70 million for Lukaku. Obviously, Lukaku, you know, did really well at Manchester United. In his first season, you know, he was really good. In his second season, didn't really, you know, replicate what he did in his first season, because Lukaku, the reason he left the football club, because obviously he initially lost his place in the team, and obviously Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's preference, obviously, you know, was Rashford over Romelu Lukaku and that. So obviously, you know, that led Romelu Lukaku to leave the football club. But Lukaku, in 2 seasons with Manchester United, you know, scored 42 goals in 96 games in all competitions, and yeah, so he did actually well in his first season with the football club. You know, he scored in, you know, key games for us as well. But yeah, so maybe some people think it was a mistake from us, you know, letting Romelu Lukaku go and that. But like I did say, it's worse now under the Solskjaer era than it was under the Jose Mourinho era, because, you know, Jose Mourinho, you know, served 2.5 years at Manchester United as manager, of course, and despite the fact he won the Europa League and League Cup in his first season with the football club, you know, Jose Mourinho's tenure didn't work out, and I've already said the reasons it didn't work out, because obviously Mourinho had bad disputes with the board. You know, he had bad disputes with the players, top players, that is. Obviously, you know, there was no sort of, the philosophy wasn't right. He was part of the bus football under Jose Mourinho and that. These are the reasons why, obviously, you know, didn't work out. I think we actually recommended him in too late. Maybe if we'd have got Mourinho when Ferguson had retired, then maybe it would have been a different sort of scenario with Manchester United. And a substantial amount was spent under Mourinho. You know, we spent just under £400 million under him. But in all the managerial eras, you know, since the Alex Ferguson era, I think Man United have spent around £800 million. That's obviously not an estimated guess, but it's somewhere around that figure anywhere. And that's just under £1 billion that the football club have invested in that. And, you know, that's not taking into account what was spent under Ferguson. You know, don't forget, you know, Ferguson developed a lot of young players. But, you know, Ferguson also bought players and that, so it's way over £1 billion if you want to take into account what was spent under Alex Ferguson. Don't forget as well, you know, we have now got players on, you know, big contracts as well. That's all. You can also, you know, take that into account. But I don't think, it's only this summer, that we haven't been competitive enough. It hasn't only been this summer window, we haven't been competitive enough in the last, 3 to 4 windows and that. And analysing our recruitment policy, it isn't too good, to be quite honest with you. But for me, I think that, the players that do need to leave Manchester United, in my opinion, I think Rojo, Jones, Matic, Ashley, I think they're definitely, 4 players there that I think, need to move on in January or next summer. I think probably Young will leave at the end of the season. Don't forget, we give Young a new 1-year extension last season. Don't forget, that was a mistake from the football club. Young's been a long-serving player with the club. Young's been at Man United 8 years. He's now into his 9th season as a Manchester United player. Obviously, like I said, with Phil Jones and that, I said he'll get his opportunities in the Europa League and the Cup games and that. Like I said, he's out of injury at the moment, but I think he's another problematic player. Jones has been at the football club 8 years. Again, he's now into his 9th season as a Manchester United player. Don't forget, he signed a new long-term contract last season. We shouldn't have given him that new long-term contract, but we can cash in for Jones in January and next summer if we do try to get rid of him. Rojo, don't forget, I think he's done well in the games he has played in this season. I think he's made 2 appearances so far this season, if I'm right, as Rojo. I thought he did well in the Rochdale game, to be fair to him. Did well throughout pre-season. Don't forget, Everton had inquired about getting Rojo on deadline day, if you do remember rightly, during the summer. I think quite a few other teams inquired about getting him, but if we were to get rid of Rojo in January or next summer, again, we can cash in for him because he's got still just under 2 years left on his contract, with Manchester United. And he's aging up now. I think he's around 29 years of age. But Solsjaker, hasn't only got faith in his young players, he's also got a lot of faith in his experienced players as well as his young players in that. Because if you noticed in the Europa League games and the Cup games, he doesn't only go with the youth, he also goes with the experienced players. So he's a bit of a mixture in a way. And with Matic, I think he's initially lost his place in the team as Matic. Obviously, like I said, he's been selected recently in the league, and that obviously, mainly due to the absence of Paul Pogba and that. Matic, actually was first choice last season. Matic is now into his 3rd season as a Manchester United player. Obviously, analysing the majority of his Manchester United career, I think, he's been mainly inconsistent. He's had some good parts and that, we've seen glimpses of how good he can be. He can pass the ball and that, Matic, but I've got a lot of element of concerns about him. He's 31, he's aging up, he isn't getting any younger, and I think he's initially lost his place in the team, to Scott McTominay. But at the time we did sign Matic, which was obviously back under the Jose Mourinho era, he wasn't even our first choice. I think he was like our 3rd choice signing. We paid around, was it £40 million from Chelsea, and Matic has got under a year left in his contract, so that means his contract expires at the end of the season, but we do have an option, to extend it by a further year. So I think, again, he's another problematic player at the football club. But actually, analysing the majority of this team, this team, it's obviously, Jose Mourinho's team, and obviously Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is inheriting the vast majority of Jose Mourinho's players. There's still players even from the Van Gaal era, there's still Matt even from the David Moyes era. Don't forget that, like I said, there's still a couple of players here from the Alex Ferguson era and that. So the majority of this squad anyway, is not Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's. But yeah. And with Paul Pogba, I think he's going to be definitely leaving the football club, whether it's in January or whether it's going to be next summer. But I definitely think he's going to be leaving the football club. Is Paul Pogba. Don't forget, recent reports speculated out saying that Paul Pogba was demanding a substantial 600 grand a week from the football club, to extend his contract, and that 600 grand a week obviously equates to around £31 million a year, something like that anywhere. And even though we've probably got the financial power, to meet his wage demands, I just can't see Manchester United, willing to give Paul Pogba 600 grand a week, because Paul Pogba on his current deal at the moment is on around 290 grand a week. So that does mean in that aspect that that does mean in that aspect that he's still one of the highest paid players at the football club. So 2 years left on his deal, with an option, of a further year. But I do believe he recently spoke with Paul Pogba's agent, Mini Raiola, obviously, to discuss Paul Pogba's future and of the possibility of renewing his contract and that. But I still think he's orchestrating on making a move to Real Madrid in January or next summer. Don't forget, he was relentlessly linked to a move to Real Madrid throughout the course of the summer. Don't forget, there was talks about him, making a return back to Turin, because Paul Pogba, did have 4 good years in Turin with Juventus. Obviously, hasn't, mainly replicated, what he did at Juventus at Manchester United. I think it allegedly said that Pogba had agreed a deadline day move to PSG, but his move never materialised, allegedly because of the Neymar saga, and reportedly I think also Barcelona were in for him. But obviously Paul Pogba's preference is Real Madrid, and like I said, his move to Real Madrid didn't materialise during this summer. Obviously, reflecting on the substantial amount we put on Paul Pogba, because obviously, we wanted around £180 million. Real Madrid were not willing to meet that. And I think if we are to soften our stance on Pogba in January, we'll want around £179 or £180 million. Whether Real Madrid are willing to pay the same or not, I do not know. But, Real Madrid themselves spent a substantial amount during this summer. They spent around, £300 million on 5 players. They sold some players, so they did obviously, generate some of the money back. But Paul Pogba, I still think, wants out of the football club. He confirmed at the start of the summer that he publicly admitted that he wanted to leave. He did basically say, he was seeking for a new challenge, and basically wanted to leave Manchester United to rejuvenate his career. Like I said, Paul Pogba hasn't performed to the standards as we all expected this season. He's done all right here and there. Obviously, I thought he hasn't actually scored so far this season, but Pogba is into his 4th season as a Manchester United player, since he rejoined from Juventus back in 2016. Don't forget, the club paid £89 million for him. But it hasn't only been this summer. He's been subject to transfer speculation. Obviously, reflecting back last summer, there was talks about him leaving, basically due to his poor relationship he had with Jose Mourinho, and Paul Pogba got one of his best wishes, of course, when Jose Mourinho left the football club. So yeah, like I said, Pogba is not available for the game tomorrow, as Solsjaker has confirmed. But I think the likes of Pogba, Martial, Luke Shaw, and the vast majority of the players now that are injured should be back for the game against Liverpool on the 20th, which is obviously after the international break. But like I said, we are, making plans for January, which is very, very good news in that. Solskjaer's got quite a few players on his agenda in that. I think we'll go in with some players next summer. Like I said, I was reading recent reports saying that, we're willing to spend £90 million in January on, Moussa Dembele from Lyon and, Sean Longstaff from Newcastle. I've been reading recent reports as well saying that we've now got Callum Wilson on our agenda, and also to Mario Mandzukic. So we've got quite a few players on our agenda, who we could go in for in January. But definitely, furthermore investment is needed in the squad. And I said, we need at least 3 world-class signings, maybe even more, if we are to be back to where we want to be. If we are to be up there, competing them and that, we need at least 3, maybe even 4 world-class signings. So, yeah, we've got to be ruthless in the January transfer window, in my opinion. Definitely, without a shadow of a doubt. And like I said, I think we're at least 2, 3, maybe even 4 years, from, mounting any kind of title challenge up or out. Don't forget, we haven't won the league, since 2013. Obviously, that was actually, in Alex Ferguson's last season. So basically we need to see a lot of improvements to the club. The performances need to improve, the results need to improve. I think the style of play also needs to improve, because a lot of Man United fans, disappointed with the brand of football. Away form definitely needs to improve, the home form needs to improve. We need to score more goals, that's something else that needs to improve. So basically everything needs to improve at the football club, and that we tactically need to improve. Nothing much really more to say, but I haven't really seen much improvements under Solskjaer than what I saw under Mourinho, Van Gaal and David Moyes and that. We know David Moyes he's the manager, to have the shortest tenure with the football club, since the Alex Ferguson era. Actually Jose Mourinho's been the longest serving manager at the club so far since the Alex Ferguson era and that. So that's your press conference reaction. That's everything else you know to update you with, and also I've give you my starting 11 prediction throughout the course of the video. There will be more videos coming up very, very soon, guys. Drop your comments, likes on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe, like I said, and take care. God bless, and I'll see you all again very, very soon. Thanks for watching.